Hey loves, this is Bobby and I'm here with another video. And this is going to be my January wrap-up video. I had an awesome reading month. I read a total of 30 books. Yes, this I think might be my biggest reading month that I've ever had. Let's break down this month. As I said, read a total of 30 books, and that'll be 2 1-star books, 3 2-star books, 7 3-star books, 9 4-star books, and 9 5-star books. If you don't know, or if you do know, we'll go over it really quick. I start from lowest to highest, and within the each star group, I don't have these in any particular order. Except my 5 stars, I have a top 3, which I do last, so there we go. Let's get started. Let's get on the roll here. So for the 1-star books, like I said, I had 2 of them. The first one is We Should All Be Feminist by Chamanda Arichi. This is a essay more than a book, and yeah, as you can tell, I didn't like it. It was 1 star, and this book is, really quick. It is transphobic, and it is taken from the narrative of only straight women. So yeah, you don't get to say that you're a feminist and then you completely disregard 2 groups that are completely looked over constantly and are some of the ones that are discriminated against the most. So yeah, as soon as I was listening to this, right away I can kind of tell that, oh, this was going away, and I'm like, no, I'll keep going. And no, we get to certain parts and it's very obvious that the author is transphobic, and they're taking very transphobic point of view. And so yeah, 1 star. Only reason I finished it is because it was, since I listened at 2 times speed, I finished it in like 15 minutes and it was awful. The next one is a super popular book. Everybody seems to like it. This is one that, yeah, I just didn't care for it at all, and that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I did not like anything about this book. That's a lie. I liked the prologue. That's it. I hated absolutely everything about this book. I hated the writing, I hated the world, and I absolutely despised every single one of the characters. And not even in a interesting, like, holy crap, you're horrible and I don't like you, but I need to keep reading. It was, I almost DNF'd this book every single chapter. But I was so close to completely blacking out every single one of my bingo cards for the readathon, the pop culture readathon that I was using these for. And I was determined, so if it wasn't for the fact that I was doing the audiobook, I would not have finished it. I hated absolutely everything about this. There was not a single thing except that prologue, which was like, holy crap, this is going to be so good, and then it was not. So yeah, 1 star. I will not be finishing the series. On to the 2-star books. This is like the most disappointing pile for me, because I was looking forward to all 3 of these books, and each one of them disappointed me so much, and it hurt. So let's get into it. This first one had so much potential, and that is A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. This had so much potential. I understood where the author was trying to go. She just did not get there. It got really drawn out, and then a lot of the biggest thing for me is that the world she tried to build, it just didn't make any sense. A lot of the others, like, she just kept throwing more and more elements in here, and it just didn't vibe. It didn't, like, work out right. The writing was super slow at the beginning, and then it just sped up, and I didn't know what the hell was happening. I did the audiobook for this one, and the narrators' voices, there's 2 narrators, but their voices sounded so similar, and then the 2 main characters are very interchangeable with each other that it got really kind of confusing there. Like I said, I really liked and I appreciated what she tried to do. She just did not do it. It didn't just didn't go with me very well. I've seen a lot of people that absolutely love this, so I would recommend giving it a try. This does have a lot of social commentary, which I really liked those parts. That's what made me actually stick it on to 2 stars instead of 1 star. This deals with the Black Lives Matter movement, and it has a lot of very current events from 2020. This was a 2020 release. It was a later 2020 release, so there was a lot of very important parts to this. It's just mixing all of it together, it just kind of got really just kind of drawn out and lost where it was trying to go. Yeah, too many things, not enough explaining, and then the book's not actually that long either, so it was just very odd. This next one, I went in hesitant with it, and I still don't actually know what the hell I read, and that is Bunny by Mona Allwood. And yes, I'm still saying bunny weird, and I will probably say bunny weird until the day I die now. So thank you for that. This is a unreliable narrative with magical realism and a bunch of other things that made absolutely no sense to me. This is one of those books where I've said before where it's weird for the sake of being weird. It didn't have really any point to it. A lot of it was just really confusing and felt like it was trying to be super clever but didn't actually work out. Also, there is a huge plot twist which I guessed absolutely immediately, so even with all the weird stuff going on, it was still a super cliche type of book. I did like certain parts, which the 2 stars I ended up giving it instead of the 1 star, which I thought I would have gave it. The 2 star are the kind of like magical realism, and the horror aspects to this were really cool. There were certain parts I absolutely loved. We follow a girl named Samantha where she's in college and she's in a writing type of program in there because she wants to be an author, and she has these other girls, they're called the Bunnies, in her group. There are these 4 girls. I keep forgetting there's 4 because one of them is like completely like a throwaway character that you don't remember her. That they are like this clique, like the popular girls, and they finally invite Samantha into their group, and then a bunch of weird crazy shit happens, and they have these weird bunny men that they keep trying to have sex with, and they keep killing themselves. It's just really, really, like I said, it's just weird. You get really confused through like 90% of this book, and then I felt like I joined a cult because that's about all I got from this. But yeah, it wasn't like This next one is the most disappointing book on this entire list, and it's one of the most disappointing books I've had in a while. Like, it's even more disappointing than Priory of the Orange Tree, which, you know, was my biggest disappointment of last year. Because I love the first book, and this author is a 4 or 5 star author. Like, I've never given anything lower. So to go from 4 or 5 stars to a 2 star, it broke my heart. And that is A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This is the second book in the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. I just didn't care for anything that was happening in this book. There's a lot happening, but I was so bored through it. Like, all of the characters, every single one of the characters annoyed me. We get introduced to a new character who was completely interchangeable with a character from the first one, which was my favorite character, Rai. They were like basically the same freaking character, except the other one was annoying, and then Rai was irritating this entire book, and then Kel annoyed me through 90% of this book. I was doing pretty good with Delilah for the beginning, and then she just kept making really stupid decisions, and then the magic just didn't happen. We were supposed to get these like gladiator type matches with magic, and V. Schwab just jumped over all of the action. Like, it was all towel, no show, and yeah, it was just disappointing. I'm so disappointed in this damn book. It's killing me to do 2 stars. I am still excited for the third one. I'm holding out hope. There was 2 characters in here that I can't talk about because it'll be a huge spoiler, but there was 2 characters here I did really like. I wish they were in the book more. It probably would have been a lot better if they were, but everything else, this was just like a high school drama is what this felt like. That's how I can sum it up. It was like a high school drama when it shouldn't have been, because this is like, I think, supposed to be like adult, and why did it do this to me? Okay, so that's it with the 2 stars. Now we're into the 3 stars, which I had quite a few, and most of these aren't even like a bad 3 stars. It's just I couldn't get myself to give them 4. And the first one was A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. This is the second book in the Wayfarer series. I'm not sure how many books are in it. As well as, I really love the first one. The first one was 4 stars, and that is A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Each one of these books can be read as a standalone. They do that formula where we meet characters for the next book in the book before, but they do backtrack and tell you who they are and like what happened. So you don't necessarily have to read them, but I don't know why you wouldn't. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me to go out of order or anything. Like I said, I really loved the first book. It was fun. I loved all of the characters, the found family and everything about it. This one just really missed the mark. I really liked one of the main characters. One of the characters, though, she irritated me through like 90% of the book. I did not care for her. And then it just kind of dragged. I didn't get that found family. This is broken up into two different stories. One story I absolutely adored. I thought it was amazing. And eventually, you know, we do find out how they tie in together. I loved the one half of it, and then the other half I just didn't care at all because the character got super whiny, and it was just like kind of got a little preachy at times, and I was just like, I do want to keep going with the series. I don't know who the third book is, who the third book characters are. I do hope we eventually get the characters from the actual Wayfarer again, since this is called the Wayfarer series. So I hope we get them again, but I don't know if we actually do or not. So yes, that made me sad. The next one was a comic book that I read because I was dumb and didn't write down that I had already filled this prompt. And it was I Killed Adolf Hitler by Jason. This is a comic book. It's super short. I think it's like less than 100 pages. I think it's like under 80 pages actually. It's very dry, dark humor. This takes place in a world where assassins are completely legal, and you can just kind of go into their office and hire them to kill people. And this old man goes into this, hitman's office and tells him he wants him to go back in time and kill Hitler because he has built a time machine. And of course, things can't just be that easy. Like I said, it's really dry, dark humor, which is usually right up my alley. But like for 90% of this book, absolutely nothing happens. They're just kind of standing around. And I literally mean they're just standing there with no dialogue or anything. So I would check out more from Jason just to see what else he's got, because I like the artwork and stuff, because in this world, the characters are like animals. There's like birds and cats and stuff like that. They're like humanoid animals. But yeah, it was quirky, and like I said, really kind of like dark humor. It was cool. I dug it. The next one I read was A Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. I did not know that this is like the 14th book in a series, because it is, and my bad. But this is a series, I know I literally just said, why would you go out of order in a series? But these literally, because this follows a detective who in each book he has a different case. I honestly didn't feel like I missed anything for it being like 7th or 14th freaking book in a series. So yeah, I guess know that. I just needed a book that centered around a holiday, and I did not want to read anything freaking Christmassy. So this popped up and I was like, okay, I can do this. I've only ever read one other book by Agatha Christie, and I wasn't a huge fan of it, and that was And Then There Were None. I keep saying that's the book I read, and I don't actually know if that's the proper name for it or not, because I think that book switched names or something like that. But yeah, it was 3 stars. It was a mystery, but literally all, like 90% of this book is just people talking. It's all dialogue, and very boring dialogue that had nothing to do with the actual story. So yeah, I gotta say I was kind of like, I didn't guess who the killer was, because it was kind of hard to guess who the killer was, because literally everybody just talks, and I kept zoning out because I'm like, I don't care. This has nothing to do, like this. Takes place at a Halloween party where a young girl is found murdered. She's found drowned in a tub that they were using to play bobbing for apples. And it's like everyone's trying, well, for some reason the cops literally don't do anything, and that's when they bring in this, I think his name's Hercule, detective. And he goes around town and just kind of keeps questioning all these people. And of course, you know, the quiet little town with all the hidden secrets and all that. like I said, it's just people talking and talking and talking. So I got kind of like, honestly, I stopped caring. And when it came out, the whole why, you know, why the murder happened and who the murderer was actually pretty cool. It was just for the rest of the book, though, was just like, I don't care. What does this have to do with absolutely anything? A child was literally murdered, and you guys are like so worried about the stupidest shit that have nothing to do with it. But yeah, I'm not a fan of mystery like this, like especially like this old school mystery. I just find it very boring, and I found this book pretty boring, but it had its moments, so I went with 3 stars instead of 2 stars. I didn't hate it, I just didn't like love it or anything. It was just average, so it gets an average rating. This next one, it's a 3.5, but I marked it down as 3. I can't give it the 4 stars, even though I would like to, because it comes highly recommended. Like when people found out that I was reading it on my Facebook groups, I posted, you know, oh, I'm starting, you know, this is what I'm currently reading. Oh, you're gonna love it, you're gonna love it. This is like one of my favorite books. It was so good. So I went in like expecting a lot, I guess is what it was, and it just did not pan out that way. It was still really fun. I really did enjoy it. I had a lot of like about it, and that was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. We follow the story of a man who he is abducted one day, and he is set into, when he wakes up, his whole life is basically being told to him that it's never happened. I feel like this is a book that you should go in blind. I did enjoy it that way because I didn't really know what was going on in it. I did figure out pretty fast what was going on, even though I wasn't 100% sure if I was right, but I ended up being right. But I really liked this. The main character and his wife, I absolutely love their relationship. It's one of the few times where we have like a very healthy marriage. They both talk to each other. They both, and that comes in, they don't lie to each other. Like they tell each other the truth, even if that truth might hurt. And that actually plays a huge part in when, you know, everything is starting to kind of coming together and everything. I do recommend this book. It's a great sci-fi, a little heavier on the science. I find that I really do like the sci-fi with the heavy science. This does have that. I love the characters. I loved where we were going. It's just the first half starts off really slow, and the build-up is just like, okay, let's keep going. What's gonna happen here? And then when it does finally get to the good parts, I felt like that part was just a little too rushed. Like we could have gone in a little deeper, and I would have loved that because this has one of my favorite kind of like trope kind of plots going on, and like I said, I don't want to ruin anything. So I felt like those certain parts could have been expanded more and would have had a really cool, fun, like awesome book. The ending, not my favorite style of endings, but it does fit the book really, really well. So I do recommend this if you want sci-fi, if you like sci-fi with air. You're not sure about sci-fi with a heavier science. I do recommend this as a great starter. It was fun. I liked the characters. I liked everything that was going on. It kept you kind of guessing and rooting for the character. So yes, I do recommend this, even though, like I said, it's 3.5, not a solid 3. Couldn't give it 4. It was really good though. This next one was one I probably wouldn't have picked up on my own at all, but I was attempting to do a book club, and I just found that I cannot do book clubs like at all. I like to read at my pace, and the whole breaking up books into 1 week here, 1 week there just didn't work out for me very well. And I was just very with this book. It had its very good point, and the rest of it though just didn't pan out too much for me. But I can see a lot of people really, really enjoying this. I think I was like the only one in the book club that didn't like it that much, because it was just kind of average for me, but everyone else seemed to absolutely love it. And that is Fable by Adrienne Young. This follows the story of a girl named Fable who her father has dropped her off on this island when she is a teenager, and she has to somehow find her way back to him, and then he will give her a ship because he captains a ship. The writing. Okay, I'll start off with the writing. The writing is what really gives it the 3 stars, because it's the only really redeemable part to this for me. The writing is absolutely beautiful. Adrienne Young has this way of writing her scenes where you feel like you're there. A good portion of this book takes place on a ship, as well as in the ocean, and you can still, like, there was times where I literally felt like I could feel the water, like, rushing against my face, because the way she describes everything and the scenes that she sets up are just so beautifully written. It was just, the characters, I didn't care for any of them at all. I didn't want to know anything more about them. They were very just kind of bland characters. The plot started off interesting and then just got really cliche and kind of like, eh. And then the romance I really didn't like. I did not feel a connection with the romance at all. I was kind of like, at first I thought this might be a book that didn't really have any romance in there. And then literally all of a sudden we went from no romance to they're making out. And I'm like, wait, what? I didn't care for it. Yeah. So I have other books by Adrienne Young. So I really want to read those other books now because, like I said, her writing is beautiful. I just did not connect with the characters in here. This next one is another 3.5, and it hurt me to give it that rating because it was 5 stars for like 80% of the book. And then it just kind of fell apart at the end, and that is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. We follow the story of a young girl whose best friend Monday has gone missing, and nobody seems to have noticed. Nobody can tell you when was the last time they saw her, and nobody fucking cares that this young girl has gone missing. The main character, Claudia, she is a young black girl. Monday is also a young black girl. So this really does focus on the fact that when it comes to people of color going missing, people just don't give a fuck. If it was a, white girl that had went missing, people would have been up in arms, searching high and low for her. When it comes to Monday, nobody cares. Teachers don't notice. Oh my goodness, I was angry through so much of the book and it was just because of the way, everything, like, it's just that anger of how the fuck do you guys not notice what the hell is happening. Like I said, it was 5 stars, and then we hit the 80% mark and it falls apart. There was a twist in here that did not need to happen. I felt like that twist completely took away from the story. It didn't fit the story. It felt very weird. Look, I cannot say why I don't like this book because I would spoil it. Because everything I hate about it is after, as I said, everything I hated is from the last, 10% of the book. So it's just like, this next one is another one. Oh my goodness. I was so excited for it. And for 60% of the book. It was amazing. It was super fun. I've really gotten into K-dramas right now. Like, I've been watching them like crazy on Netflix. And I was like, that's what it felt like with this. It was so much fun. It was great. And then it just hit the 60% part and then it just dragged on for no freaking reason. It's like the author didn't know how to end. Like, she should just stopped at the 60% mark. And then some of this could have gone into a sequel, but heavily, heavily edited down because a lot of it just destroyed so much of it. And that is Wicked Fox by Cat Chow. Like I said, this is fun. We follow the story of a young girl. We follow the story of a girl named Mi Young, I believe is her name. Yes, Mi Young. She is actually a gumiho, which is a fox demon spirit. And she feeds off of the life energy of men. Human men. She's actually half human though, so she does have this soft spot for humans. So she kind of only goes after these men that have done bad things. I loved all that. And then she meets this boy in the woods that happens to see what she is, and we get this kind of like very hesitant friendship where she doesn't want anything to do with him, but he's very interested in like what you are. Like, oh my god, you're telling me all these myths and legends are actually true. This was great. This also should be like, the alternate title for this is Absolutely Shitty Parents, because there are some god-awful parents in this book. Holy crap, I couldn't get over that. I was just like, every time these parents would pop up, I'm like, my god, this is like a handbook on how to be a terrible parent. But it was fun. It was fast-paced. The characters were interesting. And then, like I said, we get this like big, huge, like finale type of scene, and I was listening to the audiobook, so I thought it was ending, and I was at work, so I wasn't watching like how much longer it had on it, so I thought it was ending. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh my god, that was amazing. This is like 4 stars. It was so much fun. And then it kept going. And then it kept going. And then it kept going and started destroying these characters that I got really attached to and I really enjoyed. And I was just like, what the hell is happening here? And then it kept going some more. And then we get another ending that the ending was good. It just got ruined by the absolute just filler of that that good chunk of a book. So I was like, what the hell is happening here? Is another book where is nobody editing this stuff? Like, dear Lord. But yeah, it was fun. I would check out the next book. I know there's another book. I don't know how many are in the series, but I would definitely check it out. That was it for the 3 stars. Now we're on to the 4 stars, which I read some great books. The first one that I read was a comic book. I bought it during the summer when I was buying all kinds of comics, and I finally picked it up and I really enjoyed it, and I was kind of surprised how much I liked it. And that is The Sixth Gun by Cullen Bunn. This is a horror western. I like western books. I don't like western movies, and I'm not a big fan of like western TV shows. But when it comes to like western or like books, apparently I enjoy them. This is a really cool one. We follow the story of, in this world or whatever, there are these 6 different guns that give the holders different powers. Most of the guns are held by these really terrible people. They are the villains, the outlaw type of people. They were trying to bring back their leader from the dead. His wife is the one trying to bring him back, and his gun though was stolen from him when he died, because the only way to pass on the powers is the person that owns the gun first has to be killed, and the next person to touch the gun is the one that it gets, he's able to use their powers. So I loved that. That was really cool. Super fast paced. We had great characters. The plot was fun. All of the kind of horror zombie-ish aspects in it were great. I will definitely be picking up the next volume in this. I'm hoping that it's on Hoopla. I haven't checked, but I want to know what's going to happen because this was just a hell of a lot of fun. This next one was a collection of different, it's a graphic novel, and it's by various authors, and that is Be Gay Do Comics. This is like a history of queerness, basically. Each author either tells their own personal stories. We have tons of representation. We've got trans representation, we have ace representation, we've got gay, we've got lesbian, bisexual, non-binary, there's so much, and it also gives you actual history on, where the rainbow flag came from, as well as the different things that led up to the Stonewall riots and everything. It is just really great. I really loved it. I went with 4 stars. The art is phenomenal. There was some authors where I didn't care for what was going on in there. It kind of felt a little eh. But for the most part, though, this was wonderful. I found that I don't like nonfiction, but I find I can read nonfiction and actually really enjoy it in comic book form. Audiobook form, so far, I still have it. I don't care for it too much. And in physical form, I cannot read it. I zone out completely. But when it comes to graphic novel versions of it, I just eat it up and I love it. So this was great. I recommend it. The next one that I read was El Defo by C.C. Bell. This is a I have such a hard time saying this word for some reason. Autobiographical graphic novel about her life growing up when she was very young. This is drawn, though, this is a middle grade, and it's drawn as all of the people are actually bunnies. There we go with bunny again. They're depicted as bunnies, so it's very accessible for kids. But when C.C. Bell was, she ends up getting sick and she goes deaf. This was really interesting. I was really surprised just how much I liked it. It's very educational. I really like it because this is showing the way a child would deal with something like this. She's not born deaf. She eventually becomes deaf. So seeing how she used to be treated and then how she's treated after she does lose her hearing, her relationships and her friendships, especially, she has a very hard time connecting with people because right away they don't know how to handle someone who is hard of hearing. They either talk super loud to her, they try and exaggerate because she learns how to read lips, but people keep exaggerating the way they're talking to her, so she can't understand what the hell they're talking about because with the exaggeration it makes her harder to read their lips. But it's written really well. I do really enjoy it. I think kids would really like it, adults. This is like one of those middle grades that honestly anybody could read. You can learn a lot, but it was great. The next one that I did the audio book for this one, and I took a gamble on this because this is not something I ever thought I would read, listen to, whatever, what have you. And I ended up absolutely loving it, and that is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Yeah, I don't like classic books. I don't have the best luck with them, especially like super old ones. Like, I just don't connect with them. I find them kind of boring. I don't like anything to do with the military. I don't like nonfiction. I do not know anything about the military or strategy. So this has like nothing in it I would like, and holy crap, I loved it. It was so freaking interesting, and the thing that got me the most is how much of our lives we've actually built around the points in here. But so much of our lives are built around these, you know, fundamental points to it, and it blew my mind, like how you should be in a workplace. This is like really great for someone who's a little more timid in the workplace. Like, I can't get over how much I enjoyed this damn book. This was the most surprising of all time books for me. The next one is, I actually got in another classic, and I'm finding that I absolutely adore this author, and that is The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. But I absolutely adore H.G. Wells. His science fiction holds up really well to this day. The thing I liked about this most of all is the fact that nobody's given a name except one person. One character is given a name, but everybody else, like the main character is the time traveler, and then that's it. Like, he doesn't ever get a name, and it's just really cool the way it was. He goes into the future, into the very deep future, which is 802,000 AD, so like literally like end of the world type of thing. And there's this society of people who are very childlike almost, and you know, they have this kind of like, he notices the buildings and stuff are run down, but they do have their own society. And then he eventually finds himself in these caves where there's another form of humanity that are not so childlike, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I was interested the entire time. The next one, I was like, I think the first book that I read this month, and I really did like it, and that is another graphic novel, and that is Anya's Ghost by Vera Roscoe. This follows the story of a girl who, she comes from an immigrant family. She is a Russian immigrant. She has completely gotten rid of her accent. She just wants to be like the all-American type of girl and like have her all-American friends. She's rarely ashamed of her mother because her mother still speaks Russian and has like a heavy accent. She also deals with body issues. This is a book where none of the characters are likable. You're not supposed to like them. And it didn't bother me. Like, when it's intentional like that, it doesn't bother me too bad. It's when characters are shitty characters and you're supposed to somehow like them. This isn't that. Anya eventually, she gets into a fight with her best friend slash only friend, and she kind of goes off into this kind of park wooded area, and she falls down this old well. I think it's like a well. When she's there is a skeleton there, and a ghost pops up, and she ends up accidentally bringing this ghost home with her. The longer this goes on, it got really dark, and I was surprised. I was kind of really iffy about it at first because I really didn't care for Anya. She was just an awful person all the way around. She was terrible to her best friend. She's terrible to the only other Russian kid there. I really liked the art in this one. I love the very monotone color and everything. It fit the story. And like I said, it gets really dark, and I really enjoyed where it went. So I had this on my shelf for years, so I'm really glad that I finally got to it. This next one I was so excited for. I loved the first one. I read it in December, and it was 4 stars. So I was super excited for this one, and as you can tell, it was just as great as the first one, and that is Soul of the Sword by Julie Kagawa. This is the second book in the Shadow of the Fox trilogy. This was so much fun. I can't talk about too much of it because I will give things away because it's the second book, but we follow the story of a young kitsune who, while she is half kitsune, half human, she is raised in this temple that are guarding this ancient scroll that when 3 pieces are put together, this all-powerful dragon is awakened and will grant the person that puts the scroll together a wish. And it is so good. It is so much fun, and I loved everything about it. I can't talk about it because I don't want to give anything away because this does tie in directly from the first book. But yes, read them. I fully recommend it. It was just such a good time. The next book was another super surprising one because I was not expecting really anything from this. I thought it was going to be a super cliche vampire book, you know, the kind of like, you know, Twilight, you know, teenage angst type of one. No. As you can tell, 4 stars. So, That is The Beautiful by Renee Audier. I was not prepared for this book. I did the audiobook, and if you watch the vlog where I talk about this book, the narrator has one of the sexiest voices I've ever heard. I felt like I was being seduced the entire time. We follow the story of a girl who is running away from her past. We eventually find out what happened to her. She has run away from France, and I loved, like I said, I loved everything about this. The world she finds herself in, and these people that she meets. And a lot of people mentioned that this doesn't feel that much like a vampire book, and I don't understand that because literally, like, from the beginning, someone's getting their throat ripped out, and it's very obvious what was happening, and I just loved it. Like, the kind of horror aspects to it were so beautifully written, and just, oh, it was great. The ending to this, though, got me super excited because we got introduced to more that is happening, but I also was like on the edge of my seat going, no, but it was just so good. I'm excited for the second one. I've seen very mixed things about the second one, but I'm just excited for it because we get introduced to another kind of group, and I cannot wait for that. But yeah, I recommend this fully. Like I said, I thought I was gonna get cheesy kind of vampire, super angsty type of thing, and that was not what I got. I got some sexy vampires with a really cool setting. The backdrop of New Orleans is amazing. Okay, and for the last 4-star book that I read, and this was the one I was super excited about, and I absolutely loved it. And a lot of people were interested in it when I had mentioned it because one of the characters is crazy, and that is The Palace Job by Patrick Weeks. This is a heist book, and we have a huge cast of characters. You can watch the vlog for this video where I talk about this in length because this book is really kind of crazy to talk about, and it'll take up a long time because I think I talked about it for like 15 minutes in my vlog because the list of characters is like 20 characters long, and that's just the main characters. We're following a main character who she has been thrown in jail and accused of being a deserter from the military. She has not. She was always branded. She was branded a traitor. Her and her second in command from the army have been thrown into this prison together. They eventually decide that they're going to break out, and she's going to get her revenge, and she's going to steal this priceless manuscript that is it like runs in her family. It's like an heirloom from her family, and she's going to try and sell it so she can build a new life. But to do that, she needs to build this group that's going to help her do this. Like I said, the cast of characters are amazing. We have a contortionist, we have a lockpick, we have a death priestess that has a talking warhammer, we have a unicorn, a wizard, a innocent, precious boy. Yes, and you heard me right, I said unicorn. And the unicorn is a shapeshifter and she loves virgins, but not in a sexual way. She just likes the power that basically virgins exude. Like I said, definitely check out the vlog for this. I will try and link it. It's just a crazy ride. It's so much fun. The only reason I couldn't give this 5 stars, and I really, really wanted to give it 5 stars, was the fact that not only is the cast of characters incredibly long, the author has also named like every single background character, even if we're only going to like have it like them say hi to this person and never interact again. They have a name, and I got really lost on who is who. I recommend the physical copy, or the physical ebook copy of this book instead of the audiobook, because I got really lost in the audiobook because there's just so much happening. So that wraps up the 4 stars. Okay, so on to the 5 stars. Let's get started here with all of these. Okay, so first off, we have the last book that I ended up reading in the month, and that is Something is Killing the Children, Volume 2. I really liked Volume 1. We follow the story of, in this quiet, kind of all-American town in the middle of America, a bunch of children are kind of just going missing and or ending up dead. Like, they find the bodies and they don't know what the hell is happening, who's doing it, or anything. This one boy and his friends, after in the middle of a sleepover, decide to go out into the woods, while all of them end up either missing or dead, except one of them. He's found, and when he tells them that there was a monster that ate his friends, they all think he either had something to do with it or something super traumatic happened to him. All of a sudden, this woman shows up, named Erica Slaughter, and she is a monster hunter. And oh my goodness, it was such an action-packed book. Volume 2 picks up right after Volume 1, and I liked it even more. It was just super fast-paced. The characters, we get more background on everything. The first one is just kind of like, this is what's happening, set up for monster of the moment. Here's these crazy characters. This one was more, we got background. We learned more about Erica. And I loved it. I thought it was wonderful. The next one is kind of a reread for me. I have read the novel of this. This is a graphic novel adaptation of it, and it was wonderful. It was 5 stars. The novel was 5 stars. And that is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I love his graphic novel adaptations. I have quite a few of them. I haven't read them all, but his work transfers over to graphic novel wonderful. He has some of the greatest artists, like they are just wonderful. The movie is one of my all-time favorites. It was really weird though seeing the characters as humans instead of the stop motion animation from the movie. The book is a lot scarier than the movie. I know a lot of people find the movie creepy, but the book is a lot like creepier. I love it. Like, everything about it's wonderful. The other mother is the one that really, really gets me in the graphic novel. I'm trying to find her. Oh, here's a little picture of her. As you can see, she's just super creepy, but I love this. Like I said, this is super creepy. I love it. I love the novel. The novel is 5 stars. This is 5 stars. Neil Gaiman is my favorite author. So yes, I know a lot of people struggle with Neil Gaiman. I do recommend, if you are interested in getting into him, trying the graphic novel adaptions for his books. I think they're wonderful, and like I said, he has some of the best artists. Like, his artists that he always has are just absolutely beautiful. So yes, 5 stars. I love it. I would definitely reread it. Now I want to watch the movie. This one, I'm giving it 5 stars because it is a reread. But there is a but to it, and that is The Princess Bride by William Goldman. The book is 5 stars. The movie is 5 stars. The audiobook is like 2 stars. I've read this before. I love it. It's amazing. The audiobook though... Okay, I gotta explain the book first. I'm sure you know what The Princess Bride is about. It's a classic. If you've never seen the movie, check it out. This is one of the best page to screen adaptations I've ever seen. I can't honestly pick a favorite between the two because they're both so good. But William Goldman is writing this book as he's doing an abridged version of a book that already exists. This book is made up. There is no actual longer version of The Princess Bride. He says he takes out the boring parts because, like, in the book, there's like a chapter where they're talking about I believe it was a princess, and she has all these hats, and it starts going into this list of hats, and he's like, you know what? We don't need to hear about these hats. We're going to skip ahead. And that's how it's written. It's very quirky and very fun. In the audiobook, so this is supposed to be an abridged version of a fake book. The audiobook is an abridged version of an abridged book. So it takes out so much. I was so mad when I noticed that because it doesn't say abridged on there when I got the audiobook. I was so upset because it missed so much of the quirky, fun little things that made this book. I don't feel like the characters were done well. Like, we just missed so much of it. So I do not recommend the audiobook of The Princess Bride. The book, though, is 5 stars. The audiobook, though, I would give it like 2 stars. It was just not, it missed so much of the fun and the atmosphere of this. But if you've never watched the movie, though, watch Princess Bride and then you can thank me later because it's just amazing and fun and weird and just perfect. But yeah. This next one was also a reread. I did the audiobook version of this before. I've read this book a ton of times and I've talked about it a lot, so I'm not going to go into this one that much. And that was A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. I absolutely adore this book. This is my happy book. If I am feeling crappy or whatever, I will honestly just read a couple chapters and I will feel great. I can skip around in this book. I just love it. It's so much fun. The audiobook was absolutely wonderful. I have read the first 3 books in the series. I have never, or the first 2. I don't remember if I actually read the 3rd book or not. I think I started it and I lost my copy and I still actually don't know what I did with it. I want to finish the series. For a book that I love so much, I've never finished the actual series, and a lot of people are like, dude, you need to finish that series. And I'm like, I know. But yes, I love The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's a classic sci-fi. It's super funny. It's really quirky. The characters are wonderful. Everything about this is amazing. Like I said, I've done a video where I literally just talk about this, so I'm not going to go into it, but yeah, it'll always be 5 stars from me. This next one was one that I ended up putting onto my TBR afterwards because I had pre-ordered it and I kind of like, I knew it was coming out, but I didn't remember the day. And I read it as soon as I got it and it was amazing because this is my favorite series of all time. And that is Across the Green Grass Fields by Seanan McGuire. This is the next book in the Wayward Children series. Seanan McGuire just packs such a huge punch into these tiny little books. All of the books are under 150 pages or under 200 pages. And I love this. These, I feel, going into them not knowing anything are like the best way. This one, though, is a complete standalone. It has absolutely nothing to do with the others in the series. Yeah, like I just feel like these, though, you should go into them because this takes place in, each one of these books are about these kids that they are from our world, but they eventually find their real homes, which are in these fantasy worlds like Narnia, like Neverland, Wonderland type of places. Some of these places are super whimsical. Some of these places are super dark. I love it. It's them finding places that they fit. It is so well done. I loved it. It was, like I said, it was wonderful. I loved everything about it. I want to reread the entire series, hopefully sometime this year. I would like to read them all back to back because I've read them at different times. I would like to do these all back to back because I just love them so much and I need to reread them already because I love everything about them so much. This next one was also a reread. I had a lot of rereads. I didn't plan that, but it just kind of came out that way. And that is for Sadie by Courtney Summers. How do I talk about this book? Oh, this book breaks my heart. This is one of very, very, very few books that have actually made me cry. And when I mean cry, the first time I read this, I openly like sobbed and like ugly sobbed. And I did the audiobook this time around. I did the physical book the first time I read it. I've always heard that the audiobook was phenomenal. It's a full cast, and the way this book is told, it's told from Sadie's perspective as well as perspective of a man who is doing a podcast. So the audiobook has Sadie talking, and then they will switch over to this kind of podcast format where it does have like an intro and everything. It's really cool. We follow the story of a girl named Sadie who she has gone missing. Her kind of adopted grandmother gets a hold of this man named Wes McCrae who has this podcast kind of series, and she tells him that she wants his help to find her granddaughter Sadie. This deals with very, very heavy topics. Know that. The audiobook, let me just tell you, like, I was at work and remembering what was coming because I knew what was going to happen. Like, this is a book I feel like it hits you different the first time and the second time. Because the first time it's like, what's happening? What is Sadie doing? Where is she? Why is she doing these things? And then you slowly you realize what she's doing, why she's doing them, and what's happened to her. A second read through, you're able to see the way people are reacting to certain situations. And I got so angry because I remember what, where Sadie's, what happened to her, what's going on. And I couldn't get over how angry I was. Like the first time that I read through, I was very shocked because I didn't know what this book was about. Like I said, this has very, very heavy content warnings in it, specifically sexual abuse to children. So know that, but there is a lot in here, and I just, when I was listening to the audiobook though, and then I got lucky that all of the rest of the kitchen staff were downstairs doing training, and it was just me left alone in the kitchen. I had literally nothing to do, so I was sitting in our dish pit in a corner where no one, like my boss and stuff, couldn't see me. They know I'm listening to audiobooks, so don't worry, I'm like not getting in trouble or anything. But I like went into the corner because I was in the last bit of the book, and that was the part where I started crying. And I went into the corner and I'm sitting there like with my head in my knees just crying. It hit again so hard. I love this book. I love Courtney Summers' books. I've read quite a few of her books. I think I'm only missing 2 books of hers that I haven't read, and she likes to tear out your heart and stomp on it, and I will always thank her for that. Now into the top 3 books of the month. First, this book broke my heart, and I loved every second of it, and that is Night of the Dragon by Julie Kagawa. This is the last book in the Shadow of the Fox trilogy. I can't talk about any of it because it'll spoil things, because this is the 3rd and final book, but I knew one of the parts was going to happen. Like, I knew from the bottom of my gut that it was going to happen, and it did not hurt any less when it happened, because these characters were my babies, and it's just like, you knew something was going to happen, and I just, I came close to shedding tears. I didn't shed the tears, but I came close. I was an emotional, like, fucking wreck afterwards, but I didn't get the tears, but it was a damn close call because, oh, my heart. I'm, like, sitting there at work, just, no, my babies. But yeah, it was so good. The action in this one was amazing. Oh my goodness, let me tell you about it. Like, we start off with, like, 3 almost back-to-back just huge fight sequence actions, and Julie Kagawa knows how to write action. Oh my goodness. I have some of her other books that I need to read now because I need them all because I love her writing. Her characters are phenomenal. The way she writes the relationship between the characters is amazing. I can't go into more of this book because, like I said, I will give it away, and I've already talked kind of about it with Soul of the Sword, and yes, just read this series. Just read it. It's super fun. It's great. This book, though, will break your heart, but you will thank it because it's just so good. It's so wonderful. The top 2, I have a really hard time with actually which one is in first place, and I think I'm going to settle with this order. So we're going to go with this one as the second best book I read this month, and I loved it so much, and I will be reading the sequel in February, and I'm very excited for that, and that is Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eans. This book is like a D&D type of adventure going on, as well as the fact that it follows this band of mercenaries, and in this world these bands of mercenaries are treated like rock star bands, and it is so cool. Like, they have managers, some of them have kind of like a roadie almost, and they have like this whole rock star status, and I loved it. The only thing is that this group were the biggest of the big in their day. They are no longer the biggest of the big. They're legends, but they're now all middle-aged, have families, have gained a lot of weight, and one of them is just absolutely batshit crazy. It is so much fun. If you have heard about this and aren't sure to read it, I 100% recommend this. If you want a fast-paced, action-packed fantasy, I recommend this. We have amazing world building. I loved every single one of the characters, like of the main group especially, but a lot of the side characters are like just amazing. We have these different bands, and it's just, I love it. We've got these gladiator games, and then watching these kind of older men trying to live their heyday again when they don't got the warrior bodies anymore or the stamina, and it's just fun. I cannot wait to read the sequel. I will be reading it in February. So now for the #1 book on my wrap up, and I already want to reread this book because I loved everything about it, and I listened to the audiobook because I was going to read it physically, and then I had a couple people mention I'll listen to the audiobook. If you're, oh, we know you like audiobooks, do the audiobook, it's so good. Yes, if audiobooks are an option for you, this is one of those books I fully on 100% recommend the audiobook for, and that is Fallow's Fair by Hannah Cappin. This is a Macbeth reimagining, retelling. I don't really know what the difference between a reimagining and retelling is, but yeah, that's what it is. And this is taken from the point of view of Lady Macbeth. And Lady Macbeth is a teenage girl, newly 16. Her and her friends decided, her friends they call themselves a coven. Her 3 friends are the 3 witches from Macbeth, and they decide that they're going to go out and crash this party being held by the who's who of this Catholic school. The main character, Jade, bleaches her hair, gets a new dress. She's all excited to go, and once they get there, her and her friends, everybody notices them. They're all beautiful. They're, the mysterious girls that nobody knows who they are. Jade eventually gets separated from her friends, and she is roofied and taken to a room and raped. This does have content warning. The author is an amazing author who has given a list of the content warning in the beginning of the book. The rape is not heavily depicted. It is mentioned throughout it because that is, Jade's story. After the events of the rape, her friends get her out of there when they realize what happened to her, and she decides that she is going to get back at all of these boys for what they did to her. That she knows in her gut that they've done this to other girls, but they fucked with the wrong girl, and she will be the last one they ever do anything like this to. And this is a tale about revenge, but it's also a tale about fucking friendship. Her friends and her have this deep connection, and I loved it. We have one of her friends is a trans girl. Her other friends, one of them is queer, and we get representation. The characters are all amazing. The lengths they go to and the way they're doing it. It is told in the sense of they are in this play. These girls know what they're doing, and they're going after these boys, and they are picking them off one by one. Jade, when she eventually transfers to this school so that she can get into this crowd of these boys that raped her, she finds this one boy Mac, who isn't like the rest of them. He's a very nice, sweet boy, and she kind of just attaches to him. That's like, that's her way in, because she's gonna make him king of this group, and because she's gonna destroy all these other boys, including the king of the school, and she's gonna have him be the king now, and she's going to be his queen, while getting revenge through this. And seeing her slowly tear these people apart with the help of her friends, because they do these kind of ghostly things and like they're haunting the boys, and it's just, oh, it's so good. I loved everything about this book. The revenge in it, the ending though. The ending is one of the best endings in it, because a theme through this is like the fact that why she doesn't go to the cops is because these boys are all from influential families, and she knows, seeing how everything though just comes together. And one of the things though, like I said, that these boys are all from influential families, that even if she goes to the cop, nothing's going to happen. It's going to be her fault. This does deal with slut shaming very heavily. The way it's handled is really great. That it's always, you know, and then especially rape culture, and how it's done. I felt like this was a really good book to follow up Sadie with, because Sadie, we get those really hard-hitting moments in it, and then this is just so satisfying. And oh, but like I said, the ending plays into that. You can get away with things if you know the right people, or if your family is the right type of family. And when the ending, like it ended, I was just like, yes. Yes, it was so good though. The characters are great. I have read Macbeth, but I read it back in like high school, so a very, very long time ago. I didn't think I remembered most of what happened in Macbeth, but honestly, while this was playing out, I started remembering all of it. Yeah, if you can't tell, I fully on recommend this. You should read it. If you are able to, listen to the audiobook, because it is phenomenal. But yes, I need to find more by Hannah Cappin. I don't know if she has more, but if she does, she is going to be an author I will be fully on the lookout for, because this is amazing. Also, this was a cover buy originally. I didn't know what this book was about. I just loved the freaking bright colors and the pop art on this. And now it's one of my all-time favorite books. Like, this is going on my favorite shelf because I loved it so, so, so much. So there we go. That was my amazing reading month. So there we go. That's what's what. As always, I'm Bobby. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're interested, and I will drop all my other social media links down below. Take care and happy reading. Bye.